Hello everybody, today we're taking a look at the Acer GN246HL 1080p 144Hz monitor, probably one of the cheaper 144Hz monitors you can buy on the market today. A quick summary: 144Hz means that you can basically game at 144 frames per second as long as your hardware can supply the power that will be needed to produce that. 144Hz is obviously pretty demanding even for very powerful rigs, so first and foremost, if you even are thinking about this, you might want to look into whether or not you can actually run games at 144Hz. Now there's also this big debate in the gaming sphere right now between higher frame rates versus higher resolution. And I personally believe that higher frame rate is definitely a much better thing, especially when you're gaming at 1080p as it is. When we're talking about a 24-inch screen that this monitor does provide, I think 1080p is plenty enough resolution, at least at this current time. And the higher resolutions are just so much more demanding at this time that I really think that where we're sitting right now at the 1080p 60 FPS, that should be the minimum that we should be getting today. But if you can move up to the 144Hz or 144 FPS gaming, it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Trust me, you can tell a difference. The monitor here is a 24-inch display, which is, I think, a very good size for your desk. I generally like between the 24 and 27 inch for my monitors. All mine that I've been using for the last several years have been 24 inch. Again, it is a 1080p display. It's a TN display. It's an LCD screen, but it is LED backlit. There's definitely a difference amongst that. On the back of the monitor, you have your VGA, your DVI, as well as your HDMI port. One thing to note for this is that if you are going to be using 144Hz, which obviously you're buying this monitor primarily for that, I would hope, if you want to get that full 144Hz, you're going to have to use a DVI cable. Right now, HDMI does not support 144Hz. It supports around 60 Hz at this time. So DVI, what is included with the monitor, make sure you use that, but so make sure your graphics card does have a DVI output, which normally it would. There's not really much you can do with the monitor in terms of tilting or panning. There is no rotation adjust, there is no height adjust. The only thing that you can do is change its viewing angle. You cannot do anything more than that, so that is obviously something that is a very big problem for a lot of people, primarily because this monitor stand is really quite short. It's only a few inches off the ground, so for me at least, I'm a pretty tall person. My desk is kind of a little bit lower like most people's. I would say you're going to definitely have some type of thing underneath your monitor to kind of boost it up a little bit higher. It does, however, have the proper holes here so that you can put it on a mounting stand. So you can mount this on a monitor holding stand, if you will. Now, any monitor video I do, I typically will get comments about, will this work for console? Will this work for Xbox? Will this work for PlayStation? Yada, yada, yada. Yes, it will work for console. You can plug it into the HDMI. I don't know why you would, mainly because you're buying this monitor at this price range primarily for the 144Hz, which you're not going to get with a console. I'm sorry, you're probably not even getting 60 FPS with your console. So these will not magically make you get 144Hz when playing with a console. The monitor also lacks any type of internal speakers, so you're going to have some type of headphones or some type of speakers with your computer for it to work properly. The viewing angle in the monitor is about 170 degrees, so you can really view it from all sorts of different angles. Now, after using the monitor for quite some time, there are two things that really stood out to me. Number one, this monitor takes a very long time to turn on. From turning it on to being able to see an image on the monitor, it takes several seconds. That is something that's pointed out by a lot of people that use this monitor, so obviously it's not a big selling point for me. I mean, I'm not really that interested in getting it, turning on in, a second, but that is something to point out. It does take several seconds to turn on. Also, the monitor is very bright. Like, I'm talking about you're gaming in the middle of the night, completely dark in your room. This thing will light up your entire room if you're looking at a bright skybox. It is a very bright monitor, so I highly recommend a program called F-Lux. It basically will adjust the color scheme on your monitor to make it a little bit more soothing for the eye, so it's not as straining during the overnight hours, all those hours spent on Facebook. It's a very white screen. In order to fully get your 144Hz, also you're going to have to make sure you go into your computer settings and enable 144Hz. Something I will point out for NVIDIA users, if you're using SLI. Those that are using SLI with NVIDIA, there is some kind of weird error that no one understands why but your second card in SLI will constantly run at a higher base clock if you're at 140 Hz, even if you're doing nothing. So one thing you can do is go into the NVIDIA control panel and turn it down to 120 Hz as opposed to 144 Hz, at least if you're doing nothing in idle. That way you get a little bit more life out of your card. You'll also be running it several degrees cooler. My rig, for example, I've been running it almost 8 to 10 degrees cooler when I'm setting it to 120 Hz as opposed to 144 Hz. Another question I know I'm going to get is the difference between 144 Hz and 60 Hz. Is it really noticeable? I tell you what, the first thing I noticed when I plugged this computer in was how smooth the mouse cursor was against the screen. There was no ghosting. It was incredibly smooth, and I guarantee you can tell a difference between 60 Hz and 144 Hz. So overall, I do believe this is a great monitor for the price. I highly recommend the monitor for most people. Again, it's a great monitor. If you have the hardware to really accomplish those higher frame rates in video games, I definitely recommend this monitor. A lot of times I play Battlefield, I turn the settings down to about medium just so I can really get the 144 Hz. I'm telling you, gaming is so smooth when you can really get those high frame rates. It's really a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I highly recommend this if you're looking into getting that. It's probably one of the cheapest 144 Hz monitors on the market. There obviously are some problems with it. The stand is definitely lacking in a lot of degree, but I do think it is a great monitor for the price, and I would highly recommend it. And that pretty much wraps this video up. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a like. It really does help me out. If you like this video, you can find all sorts of different videos. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. We got all sorts of different weather videos, news videos, technology videos, gaming videos, all sorts of really random things. Make sure to check this out. Thanks again. We'll see you again next time.